Hit it.
All right. No YouTubes.
No YouTubes.
Raiders! Oakland, LA, Oakland, Vegas, Raider Nation, wherever, forever! You got your old Uncle Mosh and Raiders Fan Radio from Murf's Man Cave, taking a lighter journey into the dark side. Sit back, put your feet up, pop a top, and enjoy the ride. Here we go!
Look left, look right, Veliknikov, a leaping pass, touchdown!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Way up the middle, intercepted Filipiano at the 50, time running down, Oakland football, and I think Oakland victory.
The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win.
What is up, Raider Nation? Your old buddy Murf coming to you live from Murf's dining room. We suffered a computer malfunction earlier this week as the Lord has brought the lightning, Uncle Mosh, the past couple weeks here where we live in Middle Tennessee, and the power has flickered in my house about 800 times, and I think it zapped the old motherboard on the big rig that runs our show.
Yeah.
And that we normally broadcast live to the YouTubes and all that stuff. So I had to take it in to get it fixed, and so here we are doing an audio-only podcast. We're going old school.
This is old school. This is like, man, I feel like we should be driving to a casino somewhere.
I know, right?
This is like a road tripper or something.
I know, man. This is great. So
And this was the 1 week I wore just the caftan.
You did wear just
the captain.
It's a good thing that I've only got a waist up shot of you.
Yeah, right?
Because it's only the captain.
Of course, since we're in the dining room, I'm hidden behind a box and a half of ravioli, so that's all right. That's all right. Well, you can't be in this room without food.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So we're here in Murf's dining room because it just happens to work out best, not in the fan cave. It's better for us down here to set up the laptops and the portable microphones. And so here you go. So we got the...
it's kind of a remote.
It's kind of a remote. It's kind of fun. It's different.
We're doing a downstairs remote.
Downstairs remote.
Yeah, that meant a whole something completely different back in the 70s. In the glory days, it was, yeah.
So if you haven't figured it out by now, that's the one and only Uncle Mosh, the co-pilot here on Raiders Fan Radio, and I'm your host, Murf. And we thank you for joining us here for episode number 136 of the show. And so this will be interesting. One of our favorite things about our show nowadays is when we do it live, we have the chat room. We have the chat room to kind of bounce off of, and they're always so funny.
Sure.
And they're our brain trust a lot of times. So no chat room. So it's just you and me.
So normally at this time we'd say, okay, who's in the chat? Let's see. We got Full Metal Mexican. We got Ron's here. Ron.
Oh, hey, Ron. Yeah.
Capo's late.
Capo's always late.
Yeah, he's always late. Yeah.
He's busy trying to figure out ways to not recognize Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. Swag's over there begging for free stuff. Which we think might have been the reason behind the whole mix-up, the whole thing with the motherboard. The Swag begs.
How funny was that?
That was great. Did he write that?
He wrote that.
Oh, my gosh. Of course, we're like Lennon and McCartney. You know, everything that comes out of the fan cave is,
Yeah, absolutely.
So we take credit for that.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, I gave him the idea. I said, here's an idea you could use for the story.
And the punchline was the powdered donuts, which was my story. So, hey, there it is.
So funny. So episode number 136 here tonight on Raiders Fan Radio. We're going to have a lot of fun. We got a lot of stuff to get to. Of course, we're going to talk about Hard Knocks. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, how much fun is that?
Hard Knocks was the best. That was the absolute best. So we're really excited to talk to you all about Hard Knocks and talk a lot about what's going on with the Raiders, what's going on with training camp, and we're gonna talk about sadly the passing of Cliff Branch. But anyway, so to get us started off with tonight. Please don't forget to support our show in a multitude of ways. And we appreciate every one of you that does this each and every week. The best way to support our show is to subscribe to it. So you can go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere that you find your podcasts. You can find us. Just search for Murf's Fan Cave, and you'll get this show, which is the flagship show of the network, Raiders Fan Radio. And then it will also get you Mondays with Mikey and Murf, the Fan Club Blitz with Splatterhead, Chuck, and Fitz. Sometimes Potts, and then it will also get you Tales from the Nation. And real quick, before I forget, too, I want to give those guys a little bit of a plug. I'm going to be interviewing Chuck, in the next couple weeks, maybe even as soon as next week. And Chuck's great, man. Chuck, for those of you that don't know, the guy that's the president of the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole.
My mother chapter.
Absolutely.
Father chapter.
Yeah.
My home
Which
chapter.
we're going to get to that, too, by the way,
right.
about something you got in the mail today. But something about Chuck, and he's also a longtime musician. Like, Chuck's got a really cool story, and
Sure.
And a really cool story about being a Raider fan. So anyways, we're going to have him on. And while we have him on, we want to promote their ticket sales for what they're doing up there. And even before the interview, I just want to float it out there. If you're going to the game against the Jets, if you're going to New Jersey, you're not going to New York, you're going to New Jersey to watch the Raiders play at the Jets this year, the Black Hole has a ticket sale going on, $65. There's no additional fees. It's $65 flat, and you get to go and sit up there with Chuck and the guys from the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole, plus a lot of the other Black Hole chapters, plus the Pillaging Podcast guys, and all kinds of people are coming into town for that game. So hit Chuck up. It's all over their social media. $65, and you get to go sit with all these.
You can't beat that. $65 is nothing, and with all the stuff that you get.
Yeah, you get access to the Black Hole tailgate, which is legit, and it doesn't cost.
Oh my
anything.
gosh, and that's good. $65 is like 3 beers at the new Raiders Stadium.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Golly.
Yeah, what a deal. So anyway, so want to promote those guys. So definitely reach out. Before I move on to the rest of the stuff, the ways that people can support us, though, Mosh, tell us what you got today. Speaking of the Black Hole in the mail.
Oh man, so today, of course, stuff comes. It's always a surprise when I get here and I get mail at your house. So I love that, at the home of the cave. So I got an envelope, and it's from. I look at the return address before I open it, and it's from San Leandro, California, right? And it's got the Black Hole logo on it. And I'm like, what? And I open it up, and it's a pretty good oversized card, like if you took an 11.5 by 14 piece of paper and folded it over, and then it's got the big logo on the front. And inside of that, I've got my official card that says Black Hole member 1659, and then right on the bottom of it, Uncle Mosh. Turn it over, and it says the Black Hole, football's most notorious fans. Acceptance of this card constitutes agreement to the terms of membership, available at official member, and then it gives the logo, www.blackholefans.com. It's a credit card, basically.
Wow, how cool is that?
And of course, I put it in, I put it in a place of honor in my wallet, right over my handgun carry permit. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, so I can flip this out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, hey, excuse me, Black Hole member.
Black Hole member.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got your identification? As a matter of fact, I do.
I'll be trying to get into high school football games showing this. I'm sorry. I'm with the Black Hole.
I'm with the Black Hole. That's awesome. So for those of you that don't know, Uncle Mosh is an honorary member of the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole, but you are an official member of the Black Hole
of the
proper.
Black Hole, yeah.
The Black Hole proper, and we're going to get to see all those folks on November 3rd when we go out there in Oakland. It's going to be fantastic. So back to ways to support us. So we've been doing a fundraiser for quite a while here at Raiders Fan Radio. We're raising money for the Bolitnikoff Foundation. Any of the money that we raise is going to help fund Tracy's Place of Hope, which offers rehabilitative services for young women who are in danger of domestic situations or substance abuse. And so we are supporting those folks with all the money that we get from selling T-shirts. And Mosh, I just sent out 3 more shirts yesterday. Well, I got an order for 3 more getting ready to go out, man. They're coming in. We got big boy sizes. We got everywhere from medium all the way up to 4X.
4X, yeah.
We're out of larges. So if you're a large If you're a large, then you gotta get into
an extra large.
Get an extra large, and they actually run a little bit small, and so an extra large should fit you if you're a large.
Yeah.
But yeah, the orders are flowing in, so we appreciate everybody doing that. And 100% of that money is going to Bolitnikoff, where we are going to present them with a check in November, on November 1st at their annual Crab Fest.
And we're the only ones that we know of that have stuff for sale, that 100% of our proceeds, we pay our bill, and then everything else, every other penny goes right into the kitty.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
It's obviously not paying for a new computer for Murf's Fan Cave.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. So, no, we do this show and all of the costs involved with it, from the production to the hosting and all that stuff, is completely on our own dime, and that's okay with us because we do this because we love it. And it's not to begrudge anybody else that chooses to try to monetize what they're doing and generate revenue, but we're just thankfully in a position where we're able to give it away.
Yeah,
so that's what we're gonna do.
And we want to do that.
We want to do that. So buy a shirt. Buy a shirt. Go to RaidersFanRadio.com/t-shirts and buy a shirt there and help us support the Bolitnikoff Foundation. All right, and one last thing I want to hit is our social media. We hired a social media director, which actually ends up costing him money because we charge him for t-shirts.
Yes.
And that is Swag Jeff. And he's done a phenomenal job with our social media. He runs our Facebook page, our Instagram, our Twitter. He does it all for the most part.
From his phone.
And the guy does it from his phone, which is insane. Like all the edits, all the everything, the memes. He does it all, and he's killing it, man. So we got like 1,500 people following us on our Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, check us out. It's Raiders Fan Radio. If you're on the Facebook, like a lot of anybody that's over 30 is, then check us out. It's at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast, but you could just search Raiders Fan Radio. There's also a Murf's Fan Cave Facebook. And then, of course, we're on Twitter. Raiders Fan Radio, at Raiders Fan Radio on Twitter. And then I'm on there. You're on there and whatever. But support the show, first and foremost. And that's where we have the biggest following, is on the show stuff. But
I got to tell a story on Swag.
Okay, please.
So 2005, I got him in class, right? He's junior, senior. I can't remember what it was. And the kid was on his phone constantly.
Is this pre-smartphone?
This is pre-smartphone. This is when I had my flip phone, my waterproof flip phone. And I love that flip phone because I could go, hey, call me.
I remember that.
Remember, you'd call me and I'd drop it in my beer.
Water.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, it was so cool. So I'm like, dude, I mean, he was teaching me how to T9. That was texting.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
that's how long ago it was.
3 times.
Yeah. And it would pop up with the words or the
letters.
letters.
What was it, the O?
I don't remember what it was.
You had to hit the 4 times to get to the O.
I never figured it out. But anyway, so I'm like, I would get on him. And so he came in one day and he was moping. And he's a great moper, you know. So he was moping. And I'm like, what are you moping about? And he's like, man, I got in trouble. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I used all the data. I said, you used all the data? And he goes, yeah, for the whole family.
Oh, and this is like, there was like 2 gigs for the family back then.
Yeah. And I go, why? And he goes, I've been averaging 350 texts a day.
Oh, my gosh.
I said, what? And he goes, yeah. He goes, watch this. And he goes, give me your phone. So I hand him my phone. And he goes, hey, Casey was his buddy. He goes, come over here. And he sticks my phone in his hoodie, right, pocket. And he starts texting Casey in the blind. And Casey's phone rings. And I'm like, what? And it's like, tell Salty I got his phone. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
He's a pro.
He's amazing on this
dang
thing.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
he's
funny.
Perfect as social media director.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you give him an iPhone, and now next thing you know, man, he's killing it on our socials.
I know, right?
So good job there, Swaggo. We appreciate you, and appreciate all of you that support us by following us on social media and checking us out. So, all right. Mosh, we got a couple contests going on. We got so much stuff going on.
Okay, tell us about it.
Okay, well, we're doing a nickname contest. We still are we're gonna bracket this thing up. I'll probably do it in the next week or so. We've gotten so many submissions. We're gonna narrow it down to 8. We're gonna bracket it off, and then whoever submits the best nickname for the current crop of Raiders, we're gonna send you a free Raiders Fan Radio T-shirt.
But it's not a large.
But it's definitely not a large. It might be a medium or a 4X, but you're going to get a free shirt. And then the other thing on our video, the last RFR is tripping video that you and I did on our way to the casino.
Right.
We also floated it out there that if you watch that video, so go to our YouTube, youtube.com/Murf's Fan Cave. Oh, I hit it. I always mess that one up.
Good job.
youtube.com/Murf's Fan Cave and subscribe to the channel. like that video and then comment on it. And we're going to pick 2 people at random. And we're going to send you also a double medium T-shirt for free. So for those of you that haven't bought one yet, you got a chance to win one. All right. Is that all we got? Is that all what do they call that? Housekeeping, Mosh?
That was housekeeping. And you know what's amazing is the reason you got through that is because we've switched jobs tonight.
I know, huh?
I'm hitting the dang button. You're doing sound effects.
How funny. So the way it happens to work out is that my laptop, I have to record the show on.
Right.
Your laptop has to run all of the audio for the show tonight.
Right.
But the drops that we normally have, I have that all in front of me. So we've got a little bit of a role reversal going on.
I know,
here.
right? Do you know which buttons to hit over there?
I'm looking. I'm kind of studying it now. Yeah. All right. Well, I definitely know that the contact info is this one.
All right, boys and girls, pay attention. You got your old Uncle Mosh here with an update. That's right. I got some stuff for you. Take out a piece of paper, a pencil, a pen. Heck, use your pocket knife and carve the info into your dashboard as you're driving down the highway. First off, you need to like us on our fan page on Facebook. That's right. Go to Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Don't forget about the Twitter. You know your old Uncle Mosh, he twits now. That's right. Go to at Raiders Fan Radio. Also, don't forget the Instagram at Raiders Fan Radio. Or what about our website? That's right, RaidersFanRadio.com. Heck, if you want to, you can even email us, show@RaidersFanRadio.com, or call us on the Raiders Fan Radio hotline, 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Don't forget Murf's Fan Cave on the YouTube, where you can get all the show links like the Fan Club Blitz with Splatterhead and Fitz. Find all our stuff on podcast providers like Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. All right, did I hit the time limit? Good.
All right, Uncle Mosh, so I mentioned Swag being our social media director. Another thing that Jeff's been doing for us on the show is that we like to take our episode number and we like to tie it back to something significant amongst Raider Nation, or at least the history of the team. And so this week we are on episode number 136. Can you believe that, by the way?
That's crazy.
136 times we've done this.
It seems like just yesterday we were doing Otis Sistrunk number 60.
I know, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so here we are at 136. Do you want to take this one? You want to tell it?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so one of my favorite players, absolutely, in the history of the team was Louis Murphy. Because if you haven't put it together yet, I'm Murf because my name's Murphy. So
Louis was your Uncle Bruz and his dad, my dad, your grandfather was Robert Lewis.
Robert Lewis, exactly. So it's like both family names.
And Sonny, our other co-host, was Sonny Lewis.
Sonny Lewis. Yeah. So it's like a perfect blend of both family names. So I love Louis Murphy as a player. And I told Swaggo the other day, I'm kicking myself in the ass still to this day. One of the years that he played for the Raiders was the year that they did the AFL 75-year anniversary jerseys, and they were the white jerseys with the silver numbers and the black outline.
Oh, nice.
And they had the big AFL patch on it, the anniversary patch.
Right.
And then Murphy on the back, number 18. And I didn't buy a jersey back then. I should have dang bought it.
You had rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the lights stay on.
I think I had a fresh baby at the time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, and so we actually found one that was too big. It was a XXX.
Oh, gosh.
But if I ever find one again, man, I'm pulling the trigger on it. But anyway, so love Louis Murphy. Love that look. Love that jersey. And he had some fantastic plays as a Raider. Well, he also had some fantastic, or at least a few, rushing attempts.
Right.
So he had 13 rushing attempts, and one of them went for a touchdown. So 13 and 6. So 136. Good job, Swag.
136. Wow, it was a little bit of a stretch. But we don't talk enough about Louis Murphy around here.
Right,
so
exactly, right.
Next week it'll be 137, and we'll find something else because they converted the extra point. So
yeah. Well, Jeff says he's got a great one for 137. So
good.
We'll look forward to 137. Good. But yeah, you're right. It was a good opportunity to talk about Louis Murphy. So that's fun. All right. So speaking of wide receivers,
okay.
Here on the show, Mosh, as you know, and I'm sure many of you listening, we don't do shout-outs, we don't do props, we do respect. Nothing wrong with those other two things, but we choose to do a little bit of respect. We come from an Italian background, and Italians, we show respect. It's always tough, and we've done other players that we've recently lost in this respect segment before. This was a tough one because this is one of the and they're all tough, but in the terms in the scheme of impact on the field, even off the field, frankly, as being a Raider, Cliff Branch was on the short list.
He's made Mount Rushmore on more than one person's mountain.
Absolutely. We're talking 3-time Super Bowl champion, and I'm going to let you, because you did some great research on a lot of Cliff's stats, but we want to give respect to Cliff, and that's the only person we're giving respect to tonight. We want to do a proper tribute to Cliff. We've got some audio we're going to play for you. Do you want to jump into any of the numbers now before we get into that, Mosh, and kind of talk about Cliff's importance was to the team?
I think I'm going to wait. We got a couple of them here because we got one audio that's got a case for Cliff in a minute here, and I think I want to compare him to somebody who's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And go side by side with their numbers and show that, I mean, for crying out loud, we'll just wait. Okay. I got a good case for Cliff.
Well, let's start off with we're going to kind of go in a little bit of an order here. First off, Cliff's impact to the games, especially in the big games, was immeasurable. I mean, he made some of the biggest plays in the biggest games, including Super Bowl 15. Mosh has got some audio for you on that. And the thing that my big takeaway from this moment, and this was kind of the one that stood out to me. I mean, we could sit here all night and play Cliff Branch highlights. The reason that I chose this one was because the Raiders back then, and even as we got on a couple years after into Black Sunday, it was all about grit, and it was hitting, and it was toughness, and it was just
tenacity.
Yeah. And so, but Cliff in this game, he was smooth. It was finesse. It was. I'm even getting chills talking about it. He was amazing, and in this play, Plunkett throws a deep pass, and he's blanketed in coverage and makes just one little move and hops up while the defender goes flying by him, and he makes this nice little move and just kind of walks into the end zone, and it's so smooth. It's so money. Let's listen to the audio, and if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it.
Unsure of just what he would do next, Plunkett did what he planned to do all along. Once more, Oakland's pass protection was magnificent. But it was an adjustment to the ball by wide receiver Cliff Branch against Philadelphia's rookie cornerback Roynell Young that produced the touchdown. The Raiders were not hammering the Eagles into surrender. They were doing it with finesse and flair, the same style that had brought them to this Super Bowl.
All right, there we go. So it's hearing the other reason I picked that too, Mosh, was because of John Facenda.
Right.
John Facenda.
He's dead to me.
Oh, Mosh.
Just kidding.
My gosh. That was rough. I have to cut that. Jeez. Talk about the him and Morgan Freeman being the voice of God there, man. You hammer down on John Facenda.
Oh, what I heard a good one about. Anyway, I forgot about that. Anyway.
Golly. That was pretty funny, though.
I was funny. I was just being silly.
Okay, all right. So, one of the things about Cliff, Mosh, is that he was so humble. He was humble all throughout his career.
Absolutely.
And even post-career. And recently, and I'm sorry I don't have the sites for who these different audio sources are. He's been all over different podcasts and different interviews over the years. And so I just went and kind of pulled a lot of this stuff. So all credit to other people. This isn't stuff that we generated. This is stuff that I went and resourced from other places. But this is Cliff kind of talking about why the Raiders, were so good back then.
And the Raiders' passing game was unbelievable because, we had LaMonica and we had Blanda, and then Kenny took over, and then I got to start, and then in my first year in 74 that I ended up starting, I make All-Pro. I was the best wide receiver in the league. So, and the whole key thing about that those era and that team was that that Hall of Fame offensive line because, you know, I was playing with these offensive linemen who were the best in the business, who turned out later to be Hall of Famers. So I, starting with Jim Otto and Art Shell, and then, Gene Upshaw, and then you start out played 3 years with Bob Boone Brown, who was a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Before John Vella took over, and then Raymond Chester. So we had the Great Wall in Oakland, and that was that offensive line, man. And Kenny Stabler could he could be in the pocket all day long, and didn't get touched because he could hold the ball for 7 seconds, and then while we run our route out deep, 15 to 20-yard pattern, because Kenny Stabler didn't get any pressure, and then that was the whole key of our success because of the great offensive line that we had.
You did a great interview last week with Pete Koch.
Oh, yeah.
And he talks about the great Jim Otto.
Yeah.
And that if Nation, if you haven't heard that, you need to go back and listen to that just for that. When he talks about meeting all those, he talks about Coach Flores.
Yes.
And
very reverent.
Oh my gosh. And Pete, of course, he's Pete. Oh, by the way, speaking of Pete Koch,
what?
Murph,
what?
Pete's a made man.
Oh,
that was his third call last week.
Oh my gosh, I totally whiffed on that.
You totally whiffed on that.
Because I miss everybody nowadays.
So now
how many people? I think there's more people I've missed on their third call.
So now all those guys that you've whiffed on are now in great company because they're with the great Pete Koch.
That's true.
Right?
Absolutely.
They're in the same category as Swede.
Oh, my gosh. Good call, Mike.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah, Pete's fantastic, man. He's so good. And we were so glad to have him on the show. And yeah, I mean, very reverent about those classic Raiders. And, again, the ones that Cliff is mentioning there. And you know what I always loved? He says there how Snake had 7 seconds to throw. And I love Upshaw at one point. He was like, I used to tell Snake, I used to turn around and go, hey, Snake, wiggle around back there or something, man. Act like it. Because he was just so well protected. It was absolutely amazing. So
I'm going to talk a little bit about this later, but when you, and I'll give you the exact numbers because I have them here in front of me, but his average catches, 17.1 yards.
Oh.
He could zigzag east and west, trying to go north and south. He had 17.1 yards.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
That's nuts. You're going to get into it. Yeah. I'm not going to build on it. Speaking of that, speaking on the case for Cliff, that's what we're calling this.
Sure.
This, again, I apologize. I'm not sure where this came from, but this is an amazing rundown of the case for Cliff being in the Hall of Fame. And what makes it so amazing, Mosh, is that it's not just Jim Plunkett. It's not just, different peers of his that were on the Raiders. This is Ditka. This is Mel Blount, this Hall of Fame cornerback for the freaking Steelers, a guy that had to cover Cliff all the time. Like, this is some amazing talent that's assembled in these audio clips here. And let's go ahead and get to that, to the case for Cliff.
The guy was just a nightmare to cover.
He said it verbally, you're not going to cover me.
If that guy was playing today, he would blow the top off the record book.
You either have it or you don't have it. Well, Cliff had it.
When he came on the field, people were totally scared of him.
He's a Hall of Famer, period.
Deep to the end zone to Branch. It is caught by Branch. Touchdown Raiders.
Clifford Branch running a toe dancing up pattern down the right sideline.
20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
That makes a touchdown catch Raiders. That was an incredible play.
There's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame, including myself, and the way Cliff played overshadows a lot of us.
That's why he belongs in the conversation with the rest of the guys.
Art Monk, Lynn Swann, Steve Largent, John Stallworth. No one had what Cliff had.
Throwing a deep bomb, going to Branch against Livers. Livers knocks it down. Branch catches it. Touchdown Raiders. Oh.
When you were in front of him, there was fear there.
I always gave him 13 yards of cushion, and even that wasn't enough.
You had the game plan for number 21 because if you didn't, you were going to go home a loser.
He made defenses change what they wanted to do.
Branch came out of the slot, made a move to the inside, and turned out, forcing Haynes to to pick him up.
They call it creating space, changing the dimension of the defense.
They can't come up and put 8 people on the line. Because then all of a sudden you're man-to-man, and they didn't like that man-to-man against Cliff.
No matter how great a defense you are, there are going to be holes. There are going to be gaps in your defense.
He's the man that scares you when he leaves the line of scrimmage.
Love to see this kind of pattern. It's almost impossible to stop.
That gave me other opportunities when they were double covering him, go to the other receivers. So he really opened up the field just being Cliff.
He was going against our best guy, and he could light it up from anywhere on the field.
He changed the game in the way the game was played as a wide receiver. People start going out and looking for speed and looking for guys like Cliff Branch.
Going for Branch. Oh, and what a spectacular catch.
What he contributed to the Oakland Raiders was unbelievable.
He's been in so many playoff games, Super Bowls.
The stage never got too big for him.
Going deep to Branch up the left side, head-and-head battle. And he makes a diving catch at the 30. He gets up, nobody's touching. Touchdown Raiders.
There's a guy that can play during the regular season. Then there are guys who understand how to take it up and rise up to another level, because we're not playing for a regular season game. We're playing for the diamonds.
Branch catches it. Touchdown Raiders. Holy Toledo.
He understood this is what we're playing for.
That's what great players are all about. They rise to the occasion and they separate themselves from the pack.
Back is Plunkett. Time to throw. Deep to the end zone to Branch. It is caught by Branch. Touchdown Raiders. Cliff Branch's second touchdown catch of the day.
Here's Plunkett. Going deep with Branch. Could have him. Does have him for a touchdown.
He was a game breaker, big playmaker in the biggest games. I mean, that screams out Hall of Fame.
Be a Hall of Famer is that you've made a contribution to the game and you've helped take the game to another level.
His resume is right there with some of the best. That is a fact.
But Cliff, no question, he had a Hall of Fame career.
He deserves to be in. Stop right there. I don't want to hear about all these things, this and that. He didn't do this, he didn't do that. He is a Hall of Famer.
Mosh, that's pretty strong, isn't it?
It kills me when they go at that last little bit right there where he says, he deserves to be in. Don't give me this. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. What didn't he do? What didn't he do? Yeah. What more could he have done? Lynn Swann, who I hate him. I'm sorry. Yeah. I hate him. I'm sorry, Swanee. Now to Swanee and his turtleneck on the sidelines.
Oh my
I hate
gosh.
him.
Yeah.
Okay, but Swanee's in the.
Not as much hate John Facenda, but
no, I was just teasing.
I know.
Anyway, but so Swann.
Oh, sorry.
Swann, I do hate. Anyway, Swann's in the Hall of Fame. And probably rightly so.
Okay.
I mean, the man had 336 catches for 5,462 yards with 51 touchdowns and 4 Super Bowls. Okay, good for you, Swanee. You even rushed 11 times for 72 yards. You returned kickoffs 3 times for 11 yards, and your first year in the league, you had 61 punt receptions for 732 yards. 39 yards, excuse me. But you failed to do better than Cliff Branch.
Oh, my.
Cliff Branch had 501 receptions. He had 170 more receptions than Swanee. He had 8,685 yards, and if you do the math, he averaged 1.5 yards more on his catches than Swann did.
Oh, my gosh.
He had 67 TDs to Swanee's 51. And, I'm sorry. Yeah, he didn't have 4 Super Bowl championships. He only had 3. How many people have had 3 Super Bowl championships?
Right? Yeah.
What more could he have done? He outdid Swann in rushing yards. They both rushed for 70. They were within a yard of each other. He returned more kickoffs than Swan did. He averaged 21.2 yards on kickoff returns.
Oh my gosh.
And he did return some punts. He only returned 12. Okay,
so Swan got him in that one.
So Swan returned 1 year. Swan returned 61, and then he went down to like 4, 7, 8.
Oh, yeah, because he came in as a punt return, and then they figured out he was going to be a good wide receiver.
Yeah, and so that argument, well, Cliff didn't do this and Cliff didn't do that. What didn't he do? Tell me what he didn't do. Tell me how he didn't change the game. Tell me how he didn't when your quarterback has got 48 seconds in the pocket and you can get open.
Yeah.
You know,
and they're only throwing 20 times, 25 times a game.
Exactly.
Because Van Egan and freaking everybody else is running the football.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? It's Clarence Davis and all those guys. So I mean, somebody in one of the clips there, they said in today's NFL, he would blow the tops off the rate. If the offenses were played back then like they were today,
oh my gosh.
Come on. Stabler would be throwing for 5,000 yards and Cliffy would get freaking 1,500 of them.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't get it. We have ad nauseum talked about the Hall of Fame, and I think Pete, again, I hate to keep referring to the last show, but Pete you guys both touched on it, how the Hall of Fame has restructured, and next year for the class for 2020 will be equitable, and that's a shot. God help them if they don't put Coach Flores in, if they don't put Cliffy in.
Oh yeah, you know, absolutely.
I mean, I hope to see it. It's too late as far as him doing it while he's still with us, but it needs to happen on this next class.
We can at least honor him, you know, and that was the thing with Stabler, right? Is that it was a disappointment that he got in posthumously, but it wasn't a disappointment that he got in.
Right.
So we're at least able to honor Kenny in that way. And if both of those guys go, Flores will be the one to really honor Cliff.
Absolutely.
And that would be an amazing moment. That would be some good stuff.
And you know, Pete touched on it. Coach is 82 years old.
82.
It's hard to imagine. You know, with all, I don't want to go into all the greatness about Coach Flores and all the stuff that he did and the 3 Super Bowls that he won. The first one to do it as a player and assistant and then a head coach, you know, and it's been done since. But the first one, and Cliff has those accolades too. How can you sit there and say that there's somebody that did more? You know,
because you can't.
You can't.
The precedent was set with guys like Stallworth and Swan, and you know Swan had the spectacular catches in the Super Bowl. He had the highlight moments on NFL film. So I get that, but you know at the end of the day, I always look at the Hall of Fame like this because it's hard to measure across eras. We just talked about how Cliff were to play in today's NFL, how you would blow the tops off the books, and that may be true, but the equitable way, to use your word, to measure players in terms of their Hall of Fame status is that were they the best at their position at the time in which they played?
Yep.
And was Cliff Branch one of the best receivers in the NFL during the time in which he played? The answer is yes. There is no argument to that. So put him in the damn Hall.
But we as Raiders fans know it doesn't always go our way. Rodney Hudson.
Right. Yeah.
You know, we'll talk about that when we get to Paul's email, but anyway, let's move on. We got some players talking about.
Yeah, okay, let's hear
it. I'm trying to find a button.
Push the damn button. Wait. Oh, not that one. This one.
Just press the damn button, nerd.
Ha! You got it?
I got it.
I never saw Cliff Branch when he was down. He was always upbeat, great player, but I think our players have a good respect for who he was.
Coach did a little presentation yesterday and let us know about Cliff. Came into our meeting and told us, and to think that now he's gone is it's kind of surreal. But us wearing 21 was just to honor them and just show respect for one of our best players to ever play here.
Cliff Branch was a great, legendary Raiders player. Once a Raider, always a Raider. So we take stuff like that dear to heart, and may he rest in peace.
Just watching him on film, listening to Coach Gruden speak about it, remembering, him being a Raider, I tell you what, it saddens us that he left, and I just wanted to represent him today.
following him as a young man, as a kid, playing football and being a big fan of his speed and the way he played, and then to get a chance to meet him and see what a gracious man he was and what a gentleman he was, he'll be severely missed.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, Mosh, that was a tough one, man. Rest in peace to Cliff and condolences to his family. And this was sudden. This wasn't an illness or a diagnosis he'd been facing for a while. It just kind of happened out of nowhere. And but we want to honor him certainly here on our show. And Raider Nation has been, there's one thing Raider Nation does well is honor its past, and it's clear from Alumni Weekend all the way through. No other team does what the Raiders do for their alumni. You saw that in Hard Knocks this week, and they were talking about it there that no other team does this, and so it was nice to see the players wearing, including Derek Carr and a handful of others, wearing number 21 at practice, breaking down the huddles with Cliff in memory. And, that was really cool stuff. So definitely rest in peace to him. And, definitely sad.
All right. So, hey, Murph, we've been reminiscing, which is what I love to do. That's one of the best things about our shows, and talk about the glory years. But, man, we're in week 2 of camp.
We're in week 2 of camp. So let's talk about a little bit let's live in the now, huh?
Okay.
Nobody enjoyed a good Donnybrook more than 6th-year linebacker Phil Villapiano.
Linebacker, number 41, Phil Villapiano.
This is Phil Villapiano, and you're listening to Raiders Fan Radio.
All right, Raider Nation, appreciate you joining us here in Murph's Dining Room for episode number 136 of Raiders Fan Radio. So let's jump into it. We're going to talk a little bit about camp. Actually, we're going to talk a lot about camp, and then we're going to get into Hard Knocks, and then we're going to celebrate the sea of fans with your voicemails, and it should be a lot of fun. So first up here, I got a really fun, actually Mosh has a really fun audio clip. Mosh, not even before Hard Knocks.
Okay.
Coach Brenson Buckner is becoming one of my favorite guys.
He's so awesome.
He's the best. He's the best.
He looks like he could get out there and play, dude.
Right?
He's huge.
Him and Pete Koch could put pads on and play tomorrow, right? So, so Coach Buckner, and he was super cool. When I met him at the Senior Bowl, he was super friendly, and and we talked for a minute. I mentioned on last week's show, I think, that those guys were kind of moving and shaking a little bit during Senior Bowl, so they didn't really have a lot of time to slow down and talk. Aside from Greg Olson, Coach Buckner was the one that was the most engaging. He kind of talked about what it was like for him to kind of be out there and how he's in his element. Because, he's not that far from his playing days. I don't know how old the guy is, but he's not old. And he's old in football age, but in life age, he's not. So, anyway, so I love Buckner. He's funny. He's engaging. Great guy. And so him and Max Crosby were chopping it up a little bit on the training camp field, talking about Coach Buckner's sneakers.
You're going to mess up the J.
They were meant to mess up, right?
It's true.
I'm not in that generation where you buy shoes just to keep them on the shelf.
I feel you. I wear all my shoes.
You got some J's you ain't wore yet. Yeah, but I bought 2 pair. I mess up a pair and I got a pair to mess up later.
Yeah.
But y'all, my son be walking. He be walking like that, like your knees hurt. I'm not trying to crease my shoes. Well, go barefooted then.
My son be walking like his knees hurt.
Yeah. It was funny. And he does a good imitation of his kid walking like a duck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not wanting to crease his sneakers. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh.
So speaking of feet, oh my gosh, it's Footgate all up in here, Mosh. So,
and we hate feet.
We don't do feet.
I got to tell you this: my feet don't touch.
Oh no,
my naked feet,
sir.
They don't touch.
And
I don't wear socks to bed, but I keep the blanket between my feet. I don't like feet. And I was a cross country and track and field coach. I've had to tape a lot of nasty feet, so I've had my share of feet, and I don't like feet.
I don't like feet, man. I'm with you on that. I'm not one to judge, but I'll judge you by your damn feet. If you're wearing sandals and them suckers are busted up, then you know what I mean. Like I don't do flip flops.
No,
I don't.
Me either.
No, I got my house shoes are a pair of slip-on Vans.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because this is a generational thing.
Is it?
Yes. I hate feet. You hate feet.
Yeah.
And your children hate feet. I love that. That's why they're in the will. It's not that he's named after me. It's that he hates feet.
He hates feet. He'd rather wear a pair of Converse than a pair of slip-ons or a pair of flip-flops, I mean. So speaking of feet, so if you haven't seen the picture, I'm not going to tell you where to find it, but there's a picture of Antonio Brown's feet out there. And listen, I feel for the guy.
Oh, God bless him.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, it's the bottoms of his feet, are completely torn off.
It's like if you've ever had a blister on the bottom of your big toe and it pops or something like that, and then it's got that skin that covers the whole toe, and then it's like peeling off. Yeah, but imagine that over your entire size 15s.
It's just awful. And so, little bit of inside info here. I don't know if you heard this or not. I heard, actually, speaking of swag, I got inside info from him tonight that he had said that he must have read it in a report somewhere. Antonio Brown loves the cryo chamber. And a lot of players do.
Sure.
They do the cryo chamber now. It's a way to really help your muscles rehabilitate. It's a way for them to keep in game shape throughout the course of the year. I mean, there's a lot of toll on these guys' bodies. And so the cryo chamber is something that they've been doing. Well, apparently, AB didn't wear the proper footwear inside the cryo chamber, and it frostbit the bottoms of his feet, and that's why they're melting off of there the way that they are.
Yeah.
So it's just an awful picture. But anyway, so they asked Derek Carr this week about Antonio Brown's feet.
I guess you followed him on Instagram. You saw the picture he had of his feet on there that night.
I do follow him, and me and Ever actually just talked about it. I didn't even see the post, so I've never lied to you guys. I did not see it, but it's not good. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. No, I might throw up. I don't know.
So apparently Derek Carr's not a foot guy either.
That's why we like him so much.
That's why we like him, exactly. So, yeah. So, listen, they didn't really get into specifics on Hard Knocks, but, Mosh, I got more than a couple messages this week from listeners of the show, supporters of Raiders Fan Radio, saying, hey, Murf, what's going on with AB? Is this a diva move? Is this what he's pulled with the Steelers? That the answer to all those statements and questions are no. And this is why Hard Knocks is great. Raider Nation is really good about working ourselves up into tizzies over non-stories. And I won't say who it was, but one of the messages I got said, I read an article that said AB is pulling a diva move. All right? I'm not going to step on the soapbox, but those of you that listen to our show enough know how I feel about the media, and a lot of times fan-generated media. And you know what? I could tell you that the sky is green, and tomorrow you could go tell somebody, I heard on a podcast that the sky was green.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Just because, and this maybe not as obvious as it sounds, just because you read it in an article or on the internet doesn't make it true. And there are a lot of people out there that are willing to deceive you or mislead you or get you to click on their story because it helps them make money. So don't believe that crap. Right? So I wasn't going to get on the soapbox. Back me off, Mosh.
Well, here's the thing, Murph. All you got to do is back up just a smidge and do it the way you and I did it. When we were doing our show prep and we were going over our things and we watched Hard Knocks again. So we sat down. We got it. I sat in that uncomfortable chair of yours upstairs, and
Mosh hates all my furniture.
I hate your furniture. And I sat down in the chair, and you go, I got to show you this picture before we rewatch Hard Knocks. And I said, okay. So I look at the picture of this man's feet, and I hurt. I hurt immediately, and of course I spread my feet apart, and then we watched the show, and I'm like, How does this stud do what he does on those feet? It's unbelievable.
Because he's working through this.
You want to talk about a guy that's mentally tough? Oh. You want to talk about a guy that's a world-class athlete, that's a first-round Hall of Famer?
Absolutely.
This guy is a maniac. And I mean that with the utmost respect. To do what he does on those
feet.
Oh my God, I love this guy. I love him.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you. Yeah. So Raider Nation, man, don't buy the hype. Know that Antonio Brown's still the hardest working man in football. And so here's the good news. He's seeing a specialist. They're going to get it addressed. They're going to address it because it's frostbite. Now they know what it is.
Yep.
They're going to get it fixed. He's going to be fine. And here's the thing, too, Mosh. He wasn't playing the preseason anyways. And he's not the kind of guy you got to worry about falling out of shape. He's not going to go to the house and start eating Whoppers.
Watch
you know
him.
what I'm saying?
They were telling him, slow down.
Yeah.
And I turn to you and I go, how do you slow down when you only have one gear? You know, when your one gear is balls to the walls, how do you slow down? You don't slow down. But his personal trainer was going, you got to back it off a little bit. And he's like, yeah, okay. That ain't going to happen.
That ain't going to happen. Yeah. So anyway, nothing to worry about with Antonio Brown. Much ado about nothing other than the fact that the guy's dealing with some and that's got to be painful. It's got to be painful. So it'll be fine. It'll
painful,
play.
And you can't take drugs for it in the NFL. You probably can't even take extra strength Tylenol or you're flunking.
A drug test or something, yeah. So he'll rehabilitate. He'll be fine. He'll show up for his treatment.
Yeah. Hint.
We call that foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of Antonio Brown, his teammate on the defensive side of the ball, and let me say this real quick too. We're going to hear from LaMarcus Joyner on Antonio Brown. The day that Antonio did get out there and play in pads on his busted up ass feet, he was schooling LaMarcus Joyner. And LaMarcus Joyner's one of the best cover safeties in the league.
Absolutely.
And he was wrecking him. So here's LaMarcus Joyner talking about Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown's one of those guys. It's like Sunday. Every rep against him and Renfro for me is Sunday. And you know that if he's out there, the ball is coming to him. So I just locked in and I competed because if you don't compete with Antonio Brown, he's going to embarrass you. And he's going to rub it in your face. And I didn't feel like having a down practice that day because I didn't want to see him dancing with the stars. When he's out here, we on fire, man. We need him. He's that extra gas that you need in a science experiment that's going to help get things boiling. And that's what he do. When he's out here, everybody's on fire because we know if you're not on fire, then he's going to set you on fire. So you have to be ready.
All right, so there's LaMarcus Joyner on Antonio Brown. That was pretty funny. It's good stuff from him. So speaking of the wide receiver, so let's Mosh, I'll write this down, this timestamp. Let's skip ahead. Let's go to Gruden on the wide receivers because we're almost at an hour already, and we got a lot of show left to get to. All right, so next up, Raider Nation, we're going to hear from Coach Gruden. Speaking of the wide receivers, speaking of Antonio Brown, and not only talking about the wide receivers, but just the pass catchers and the threats that this Raider team has on offense.
Tyrell Williams has been very good here. I mean, he's made some big plays at multiple positions, and he's showed great stamina. So he's been outstanding. Darren Waller's been really good, really good. So we're really fired up to talk about those two guys. They've stood out the most, and we're starting to see others like Marcel Aitman make some plays. My young friend from Arizona Cardinals, J.J. Nelson, is starting to make some plays in many different situations. So that's good. And Derek has done a great job distributing the ball.
All right, good to hear from Coach Gruden. It's hard not to get hyped, Mosh. We're in the bag for this stuff no matter what. I mean, you got us, Raiders. We're going to think you're going to win the Super Bowl and go 16-0 every single year. But it's after last year, we got dinged up pretty good. I mean, our confidence got dinged up pretty good. But hearing all the reports, and maybe it's just I'm kind of buying into it, man. I don't know. But, I mean, you hear about all those playmakers. Like, I remember thinking about the Chiefs last year going into the season. They just had one too many guys to cover. Like, even though we had some good cover players, we had some good defensive players, they just had more than we were going to be able to keep up with.
Right. And that happened in more than one game.
Absolutely, right? So don't you feel like the Raiders, if Darren Waller is all what we think he's going to be, Tyrell Williams, Antonio Brown, J.J. Nelson, Josh Jacobs out of the backfield, right? And And we're not even, and that's, I only mentioned one tight end. Luke Wilson, by all accounts, is doing well. Like, doesn't it feel like we got one too many guys for defenses to cover? Maybe I'm getting up in my fandom here, but I don't know, Masha. Just what else we got?
We're going to Gruden on.
Obviously Trent Brown is a huge addition for us. He is standing out on the video every day. Incognito and Cooper are giving us some really good snaps at left guard. We already know Rodney and Gabe are very good players, and Colton is a better player in year 2. So we're looking for some more depth. We're going to look to continue to get better. And we'll see how we stack up against the Rams, because that's a formidable front.
John, Colton, just what are some of the things that you see that he's different about
Colton?
Yeah.
Well, number one, he understands the system. I think he's in his second training camp. He's anticipating audibles, anticipating stunts, understands situations better. He's stronger. That's the big thing. I mean, the guy's a lot stronger and he's healthy, and that certainly helps.
Those practices against the Rams next week, are they almost more valuable than the preseason game itself to you as a coach?
Yeah, probably, because the starters will get a lot of work where they won't in the first preseason game. So we'll be able to, see our young corners against some great receivers and vice versa. And we'll see how we stack up against the NFC champion. It'll be a great challenge for us.
You plan on using all your challenge flags?
I had a nightmare last night. That guy was in my room.
During preseason games, you plan on throwing maybe more challenge flags than you would before to see if you
No, I don't foresee that, no. Every time you throw a challenge flag in the preseason game, the referees yell at you because they don't want you to do that. So, just kidding, but no. I'm not a big fan of the whole replay process, but we'll challenge plays that we think need to be challenged.
All right, Coach Gruden closes us out there. I can't talk all of a sudden. Coach Gruden closes
us out there.
Thanks, Mosh.
No problem.
Talking about the offensive line and a couple other things there. I love how he mentioned about the microphones. The microphone, because he looks up and there's the boom mic from the Hard Knocks camera over his head, and he's like, I picture that guy being in my room at night.
He talks a lot about his nightmares. I don't think he sleeps well.
Well, the guy sleeps like 4 hours a night. Like, how much time does he have to dream actually anyways, right? All right, next up we're going to talk about some Madden football, Mosh.
Hey, this is Pete Koch, former Los Angeles Raider. Yeah, back in the old days, baby. And you're listening to Murf and Uncle Mosh, who happens to have the same hair as me. Check it out, Raiders Fan Radio.
All right, thank you to Pete Koch for joining us most recently, and go ahead. You got something.
Well,
I got something for you.
On that iPod video, that commercial.
Oh, his commercial.
Yeah,
sure,
his commercial.
Sure.
The iPhone.
Yeah,
with the
great.
face recognition.
Yes.
The first time I saw that, I was in Washington, D.C., and I'd been at a conference, and, man, I was beat. And so I got to sleep really early, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was watching the Food Network, and Guy Fieri was in commercial. And all of a sudden, I'm watching this commercial, and it's like, wait, that's Pete Koch. No, that's me. No, that's Pete Koch. I get the two of us mixed up.
Oh, yeah, because you guys are you're dead ringers for
We're
one
like
another.
twins.
Well, you're both like 260.
We're both 260.
You both got long gray hair.
7.5 inches on me height-wise, but we're both 260. Yeah.
It's funny in that clip right there how he says Uncle Mosh, who happens the same hair as me, which you guys did for a long time. And in the Hard Knocks episode, we were looking for Pete.
Sure.
And we only found him in one shot. And what is it we saw?
It's the back of his head. I thought it was me. I thought I was there.
You were at the alumni dinner.
I'm like, wait, was that? Oh, no, that's Pete.
All right, good stuff there. Good to hear from Pete. Appreciate his time. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about Madden football. Mosh, we're already at an hour on the show, so we'll have to kind of hit the accelerator on some of this stuff. But I did want to talk about Madden. It got released last week. That stupid Kermit the Frog quarterback from the what is that? The Chefs? Is that what we call him now?
The Chefs, yes.
The Chefs, yeah. He's on the cover. Antonio Brown was on it last year for Madden 19, which was great, but he's in.
That's what happened to his feet.
He's in a Steeler uniform, and so then this year we got a Chief, which is not much of a consolation prize. And so I always doctor up my Madden cover with something else. So I'll figure out a good Raider one to put on. I think I might put Jonathan Abram on there or something. I think that might be kind of fun. Put the rookie on there. Either him or Uncle Rico. Have you seen the Uncle Rico Madden cover that's going around?
No, is that great?
Yeah, Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. That's pretty funny. So I might do that one too. But anyway, so Madden 20 came out. One of my favorite things about the Madden release is that when they go to the players themselves and they ask them about their ratings, because there's a rating system. It's basically 0 to 100 on a bunch of different categories, and that the players get rated on. And the players, they get asked about what they think their ratings should be or what their reaction is to what their ratings are in the game. And so we have this one is exclusive to the Raiders. So let's go ahead and listen to the Raiders respond. This is Abram. This is Josh Jacobs. There's a handful of guys. AB is in there talking about their Madden rating.
I don't even want to talk about it. They probably gave me like 69.
68.
Embarrassing.
At this rate, I don't know. I don't know what that is. 52. 52. How does that correlate?
Still doubting me, and that's why I still got a chip on my shoulder.
What do you think I should have run blocking? Yeah, that's probably like lower class. 54, right? No way.
Who does these Madden ratings? My run block, it has to be high. I put the stuff on film, so it has to be high.
49.
No way, that's crazy. Is it really?
49.
49.
That's Tyrell Williams there.
That's ridiculous because my run blocking is really good, so I take pride in that. It's crazy. They probably gave me a 68.
63.
Wow. I feel like you're joking.
I guess they underestimate me, you know?
I'm embarrassed.
It just is what it is.
I love it. And, so I've played a few games, Mosh, online. I'm part of a big Madden league with 32 live owners that play in the thing. And, of course, I have the Raiders.
Sure.
But I played a few Madden online games. Raiders are fun, man. Jonathan Abrams got that big hitter. Vontaze Burfict's got that big hitter, man.
Nice.
It's really, really cool. So, speaking of that, we've got some audio of Vontaze playing Jalen Richard. Now, this is a long audio clip, so you may want to skip through it a little bit. It's about 3.5 minutes long, but it's really funny. So this is Vontaze Burfict playing Jalen Richard, and the best part about this video is that Vontaze is using Jalen as a running back, and he's crushing him. He ends up winning 49-19.
Oh, nice.
And so he's going, why do you do that to yourself? Man, you're going to have 100 yards this game. It's the best. It is so funny. So here it is, Vontaze and Jalen.
Oh, do it.
Oh, get it back. Get the ball.
Give me that.
Come on, D. Come on, D. I don't know how to slide. Come on, man. You got to get there.
Let's go. Good throw, DC.
Oh, you a newbie.
I've been playing this since I was a baby.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's what I'm talking about. Right? I threw it away from you. Yes, sir. Good catch.
Oh, my God.
Good catch.
You got nervous right there.
I did. Man, come on.
It's hard.
It's hard. They playing for real on here, huh?
He keeps making him fumble, too. Vontaze makes him fumble like 5 times.
Oh, you ain't going to score.
Money!
AB.
Money!
AB, he got that one. I hope he did it all year.
Oh, yeah. There we go, PJ. There we go, PJ.
I was going up, too.
There we go, PJ.
No, you in cover 2. Some type of 2.
Oh, yeah, they ain't get there. I'll take it.
We'll skip ahead here a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my God. Get up again! Come on, man.
This is what every Madden game sounds like when you're playing, too, by the way.
Y'all turned up the fumbling. Everybody get hit.
Turned up the fumbling?
Dang. I was within 2, bro. Let stuff get out of hand, man.
I'm going to break it then.
What?
That dude broke 3 tackles.
That boy Glennon looked like Andre the Giant out there. That boy came about to snap with the ball. Man, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way, bro. If you hit stick anybody on the new 20, they fumble.
You can't get fined in this.
You can't get fined in this.
You done? You know it's over with.
He got skinny. He still broke 2 tackles, bro.
That's what he's
Man,
doing.
y'all didn't turn this up
He's using
enough.
Jalen against himself right there.
Let's go. Let's go. It wasn't close, bro. I'm the best, bro.
So funny, man. I love it. That's what Madden games. I mean, Sonny and I have played endless amounts of Madden together. I played a lot with my brother Alan, and of course in this Madden league that we play in, and it's just so fun. And it's funny because there's 2 things about Madden is that it's always the game's fault.
Oh yeah,
right. It's always the game's fault, and that's why you lose. Because it's never that like you picked the wrong player or that guy beat you. It's always that the game is the one that beat you. The game is always responsible for it there. So, anyways, good stuff there from Jalen and Vontez. All right, so Mosh, we're kind of in a grab bag of a handful of different things that have gone on this week. The stadium is looking phenomenal. We saw some flyover shots today from our buddy Namone down in Vegas. The roof is starting to go on.
Wow.
It's that glistening black. It's just looking
What did we hear that it's the 1 year anniversary from when they're supposed to open?
That's what
was
Pete
last
said.
week or something like that? Yeah.
And I'm sure he got that from the alumni dinner. So I'm sure there was something that came out that kind of announced that. But yeah, absolutely. So we're one year out. Well, so Mike Mayock this week had a chance to tour it. Before you hit that though, I can't remember if I mentioned on last week's show or not. If you haven't watched From the Ground Up on YouTube, it's basically Discovery Channel on YouTube. It's Mike Rowe narrating it, and it's an amazing rundown of the building process from groundbreaking until where they're at now on YouTube. So definitely Raider Nation, check that out. It's called From the Ground Up. It's on the Raiders YouTube channel, and they're like 10-minute episodes, and there's like 5 of them now so far. But anyway, so it's great stuff. And so in the meantime, also let's listen to Mike Mayock.
Nothing like natural grass, folks. I'm excited about it.
We fought really hard. We want mud in the face mask. We want grass stains all over our guys' jerseys. We want to smell the humidity.
So, Mark, that torch is right over here, right? The opening.
Torch is 80 feet.
Wow. Overlooking the whole strip. Isn't that cool? I've always loved coming in at grade level and then going down into a bowl. It's awesome. You get a whole different flavor for it walking around here.
Yeah.
The locker room's in here, and on game day, we come out this way and go down here and come out a more conventional tunnel. This is what gets you juiced up before a game. You come out, you see the flame right there. You've got the big opening onto the Vegas Strip. I mean, this is what it's all about for a player and the coaches and the staff is right here. The whole thing just blows me away. I can't wait. I can't wait.
You know, as sad as it is that we're playing our last game in Oakland this year, Mosh, I'm fine. The more I hear and the more I see about Vegas, I mean, it's just going to be the facilities. Come on. How do you not be excited about that?
Second to none.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, while we're in the grab bag section here, I got one more for you. This is so I've been meaning to feature this guy's audio for a little while now. Chris Sims, former NFL quarterback, played for John Gruden in Tampa Bay. Dad is Phil Sims. Chris is an awesome reporter. He's got his own podcast and a handful of other things, but he's really insightful in terms of Gruden. And again, I've wanted to feature his stuff for a while now because I think he can provide an insight that a lot of us haven't been exposed to, and that's what it's like to be coached by him directly. What also this week, he was on Dan Patrick's show. You guys know what big fans we are of DP. And DP was asking him about Derek Carr specifically and what Chris Sims thought of Derek Carr and how that related to John Gruden. And he had some fantastic comments. Let's go ahead and hear that.
I mean, it's a huge year for Derek Carr. I mean, I am in the camp of if it's a below average year or an average year that, hey, I know that psycho John Gruden, he will look to replace you or at least make it a competition next year if it doesn't go smoothly. I do believe in Derek Carr still. I think there's some physical attributes there that I like. Let's not forget the team around him stunk last year. Is one of the worst offensive lines. He's battled little injuries the last 2 years with the back and all of that. I think their offense is going to be tough to deal with this year, because I just think Gruden in year 2, Carr in year 2, he's got toys to play with. Antonio Brown, hey, we know that. Tyrell Williams, who came from the Chargers, that was a great addition. So the receiving core is going to be better. The O-line is going to be better. And the other aspect that I think is huge is their first-round pick, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, you heard it here first, will be their Alvin Kamara this year. You watch. He's going to be used in that same way. Sean Payton, Gruden, it's the same type of offense. They know how to use the back out of the backfield. And I think you're going to see Josh Jacobs with Alvin Kamara type stats, maybe 900 yards rushing and like 700 yards receiving, somewhere along those lines. I think their offense will be a handful for defenses this year.
And Jacobs, the running back out of Alabama.
Right.
Wow, pretty cool, man. That's some amazing. Strong praise from him. And he's not the most complimentary guy of Gruden all the time. He's not the most complimentary guy of the Raiders all the time. So to hear that from Chris Sims, that's pretty cool. What do you think about that, about the versatility of somebody like Jacobs?
It's I'm really looking forward to see how Hard Knocks, when they start, now that they hit the big names, when they start branching off into some of these other guys that are going to make a difference.
Yeah, because he was kind of snubbed in this one, wasn't he?
Yeah. But I mean, they can't get all of them. There's 93 of them.
Well, that's true. That's true. So speaking of Hard Knocks, let's talk about it, huh?
Hey, what's up? It's Brockman from The Rich Eisen Show.
And it's Del Tufo from The Rich Eisen Show.
You're listening to Murf and Mosh on Raiders Fan Radio. Yes!
All right, Mosh. So the Raiders debuted this week on Hard Knocks just as recently as last night. We had a chance to view it, and let's jump into some audio. Let's listen to John Gruden welcoming the team. And I deliberately didn't assemble a lot of audio for Hard Knocks for Raiders Fan Radio. Number one, you can find the first episode on YouTube. The Raiders did release it on their YouTube channel, so you can go out and you can find it. And so if you don't have HBO, you can watch the entirety of it there. But we could do an entirety of this show
hours
just on Hard Knocks. So let's kick it off with John Gruden, and then Mosh, pick it up, man, and start giving me some thoughts.
I don't want any rookie hazing. Okay, now, if you guys have them sing the fight song or something like that, I'm all for that. But be professional with these guys. They've earned that much. We've worked our asses off to bring this group together, to turn this franchise around and create an identity and create a culture that can carry us on into the future. The owner, Mark Davis, has a lot of pride, man, in the history of this organization. And there's a saying around here, once a Raider, always a Raider. We are going to be physical. Most importantly, we're going to be smart, and we're going to be relentless. You can lead the league in effort because it takes no talent. It's just a decision that you make. We have a chance to be one hell of a big story this year, man, if we put our heart and soul into this football team. We want to win, and we want to win now. Knock on wood if you're with me, okay?
Your dog's going to start barking in a minute.
There he is.
Hey, so what we didn't play on that, the opening part of that speech was Gruden said, I got very few rules. Don't be late, keep an eye on your weight, bust your ass, and use common sense. Hello?
What does that sound like?
What more could you ask for?
That's Madden.
Yeah.
That's the lineage of this football team. It's amazing.
I mean, geez, Pete, come on. That's do the right thing, and we're going to go somewhere, Golly.
Absolutely. One of the things that I liked on that, Mosh, was that I love it when he said, once a Raider, and then the entirety of the room responds, always a Raider.
Right.
They already knew that.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like, they're already into the mystique and the camaraderie of it all, and it's just fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the episode. Again, I don't have a lot of audio from it, but what were some of your big takeaways? Let me hear yours first. I'll give you mine.
I love the way that what they showed, and again, it's NFL films, and it's as much as it was complimentary of the team, I almost thought, what are they trying to show? I'm saying to myself, are they trying to show players, how they get along with the coach. Are they trying to show disrespect? Are they trying to show the fun? Are they trying to, what are they getting at? But bottom line is Gruden said, if you don't know what to do, you're not going to play here. So, and then a couple times, when he was having some fun banter with a couple of the guys, and he's going, hey, there's other leagues you can play with at $800 a week. Yeah. And they're like, no, coach.
No, we're good.
We're gonna stay right here. We're gonna stay right here.
Were you surprised at all by the humor of it?
No, not at all.
No,
because anybody that's as intense and as fun as, and that's one of the things that they talk about with Chucky is he enjoys what he does. He has fun. He loves it. He just loves it, and he just gets so excited, and he smiles, and even when he was he's chewing people out, and he's like, dude, don't be hitting your brother like that, man. It's he never came out and said, "That was a good lick." But you knew he meant it.
Yeah.
You knew he's like, man, this guy's a stud. And he's trying to calm him down. You got to pull it back just a little bit.
Pull it back a little bit.
Pull it back just a little bit. But it was great. I loved what they showed. I loved your guy said at one point, he goes, I may bring you out of the game and cuss you out, but then I'm going to put you back in.
Oh, Buckner, he's talking to Ollie.
Yeah, and he's telling him, listen to what I'm saying. Do what I'm telling you to do. I'm coaching you up. And it may mean me bringing you out and putting my foot in your butt, and then I'm gonna turn right around if you got it, and I'm gonna stick you back in.
Absolutely.
Of course, he didn't get it, but spoiler alert.
I guess we should say that on the front end here, that if you're listening to us, we're going to assume you've already seen the episode. If you haven't and you want to remain spoiler free, then hit pause and then come back and listen to us later. So Ronald Ollie is let go. They didn't show the release. Hard Knocks is famous for that interaction with the player when they actually get cut. They didn't show that, and I'm wondering how deliberate that was, or if it was just because. Look, let's face it, he might have been a fan favorite. He may have been one of our favorites because we knew him from Last Chance U. But in terms of his actuality of or probability of him making the team, probably pretty low. Right, so he was just kind of like, he was dismissed, and what I thought was kind of profound is that leading into that, and I kind of wish we could play some of the audio unfiltered because right before that, Gruden's walking. I don't even know who he's talking to, but he goes, "Let's get rid of some of these effing guys that don't want to be here," and it was like something about the way he said it, and like it just resonated with me. I was like, "Holy crap!" Like as much as this episode was fun, there was a really good dynamic from the seriousness of what you're doing, that you have the opportunity to play in the NFL. You're sitting on a lottery ticket. You're sitting on, the precipice of achieving your dream from the time you were 8 years old. From that all the way to, that's funny. Let's make fun of each other and let's be silly. There's a big dynamic in the middle, don't you think? Like they explored a lot of different things, the family and the connectivity, the friendships, and just everything, right?
Well, they didn't waste any time with a lot of the personal interest stories and stuff like that. They touched on a few of it, showed some of the guys with the kids, and they showed Abrams and Cleveland going out and riding horses, and that was hilarious, and so there was some personal interest stuff in there. But bottom line is that the 93 guys that are there are like Gruden said in the very beginning, they're gonna crush somebody's dream. To be down, to be part of the team, you're gonna have to wreck somebody else's dream, and that's part of it, man. That's part of it, and that's from the get-go. They show that. I really liked how that they bounced around a lot. One of the things that I enjoyed that you and I talked about is it was good TV. It was good entertainment.
Yes.
That hour flew by in a second, man. Yeah. It was entertaining, even if you're not a huge football fan. Everybody knows that we watch these guys on Sundays and they suit up, and then there's these epic pictures of steam coming off people's heads and all that. But to see what they go through day in and day out, man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And it's you're right. It's great television, and it would not surprise me if there's an Emmy. This is probably a lot of my fandom talking, but I'm going to go for it because I'm a fan. This is Raiders freaking fan radio. It was amazing television, and I've watched every minute of every episode of all seasons of Hard Knocks. And granted, sometimes there were teams like the Ravens and whatnot that I don't care for, but just in terms of the quality of the production and the quality of the content, maybe it's my phantom talking, Mosh, but this has been the best. And we were only one episode in. This was phenomenal. The players that broke out, Abram, look at me. I said I had the S. Abram was, I think, the standout, right? Of the players, he was the one that jumped out. Was he too smart-assy for you, or was he just funny? Is he just a good old country boy? And
I think he was. I mean, when you look at that's just him. I think that's a lot of just him. I don't think he was disrespectful, but
even in the Gruden parts, when Gruden was trying to back him down, he was like, "Hey, coach, what can I do it tomorrow?"
Again, we didn't see we didn't see all of it.
Okay,
we
fair.
saw that little tiny bit, but I promise you, if you're going to create a problem for John Gruden, you're not going to be around long.
Well, that's true. That's true. And he did say, and I don't think it was in the episode. I think it was another thing I saw. Him and Abram had dinner that night. And he was like, John's on the same page as I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like all of a sudden it was like, okay. I think that might have been a little bit of a camera moment, a little bit of in the moment type thing going on there. It was great. Again, made great television.
He's a funny guy. Go back to when he and Carr at dinner.
So what do you think about that? He's busting him out about 120 minutes. He's calling out the guy's contract at dinner.
The guy drove his Rolls Royce to practice.
Wow,
okay?
that's true.
Sorry, you're going to drive your Rolls Royce to practice?
Yeah, that's true.
That car cost more than that child has made in his entire life practically.
Yeah, that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
That's true.
And I loved how he's like, well, if you were my dad, he's kind of, you're 6 years in the league. You just signed for 120. If you got, and then he even said, and you might get another 120. That's 240, dude. If you're my dad, I'm never working. I loved it, man. I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. The thing is he backs it up on the field.
Yes,
and he wasn't. I mean, he was being silly. He was being fun. I don't think he was being disrespectful.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I can appreciate that.
I'm with you, and of course, we love humor, and we're okay with being irreverent at times when it's appropriate. And I'm with you. I think that it was not saying surprising, but you hadn't seen that again. Going back to Hard Knocks previously, you hadn't seen a rookie come in there and bust out his head coach, his quarterback, his one of the positional coaches, and Brenton Buckner. Look, I'm not going to repeat what he said at the end, but the funniest moment of the entire show is the prayer at the end, and it's freaking awesome.
Buckner called him. He goes, "What are you, a Christian comedian?" I mean, I'm
so funny, man.
I think that's he didn't curse. He didn't,
right. He wasn't hateful.
He wasn't
Nothing
hateful.
He does is hateful.
He wasn't mean.
Yeah,
he
that's
wasn't
it.
disrespectful. He was funny. And if you take it, the tongue in cheek of it, that's hard to pass up.
That's it. It's all about intent, and I think that's the thing about a joke. Or whatever it is that you're doing, it's all about intent. Is that and clearly he's got good intentions. So
right.
I think he's great. Now and again, I for those of you who hadn't watched it yet, definitely go out and check it out. Mosh, there's a couple terms I wrote down: prisoner of the moment and recency bias. Are we prisoners of the moment because we're big Raider fans and it's our team and we're finally on Hard Knocks? Are we prisoners of this because it's the last thing that we saw, or is it really that good? I think it's really that good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that absolute editing quality is outstanding. I think the storylines that they hit, the way that they did it, the way that they would. I mean, what? Golly, Richie Incognito's the biggest human being I've ever seen.
He's massive. And
he's just a stud, And to show this guy and to show these guys hitting and slamming and jamming and then hugging each other and laughing and eating and Gruden saying, get to know your teammates.
Yeah,
kids.
that was cool.
And that was on the heels of talking about Cliffy. Get to know their families. Get to know, and he ran up and he grabs. I don't even know whose kid it was. Somebody's kid. He picked it up and he was.
I think it was Abram's kid.
Was it Abram's kid?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, that's just stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's
that's
cool
stuff. Hey, we got to move on.
All right. One last thing. Did you catch Villapiano at the head of the table?
Absolutely. Where else is he going to sit?
Amen. Amen. Absolutely. Definitely sitting proper there at the head of the table. All right, Mosh, one more thing before we get to the Sea of Fans. Did we love Hard Knocks? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We loved Hard Knocks, right?
Are we Hard Knocks drunk? Raiders Hard Knocks drunk? Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So knock on wood if you're Hard Knocks drunk.
Here comes your dog again.
Where's the damn button?
Hit the button, stupid.
Where's the Sea of Fans button? Do I have a Sea of Fans button?
Jeez.
Oh, my gosh. I don't have a Sea of Fans.
Oh,
there it is. I got
it. Hit it. Hit the button, stupid.
There he is, baiting, looking. He's under the gun. He's tied. He throws. It is. He caught it.
All right, if you want to be... Whoa.
What have you done?
I don't know. My levels went...
I
hit the button too many times. My levels went crazy. It just blew out our eardrums, and then all of a sudden I went and redlined there. All right, so one of our favorite parts of our show is the Sea of Fans mailbag. This is where we hear from you, Raider Nation. You can call us anytime, 909-345-3346. Leave us a message. If we play your message 3 times, you become what we refer to as a made man, hence the Get Made on our T-shirts. And there's a made man of the made men. His name is the Capo. We will hear from him first before we get to the rest of the audio calls. But also, you can contact us by email by emailing us at show@RaidersFanRadio.com. And there's not a set amount, but if you email us enough, like Miss Haley, who's our first made woman, or our good buddy Paul Edgerton in Shropshire, Mississippi, which is actually in the UK, you can become a made person that way. So Uncle Mosh will review these, and then he will award what we call the Sizzler, and that is the best of the best from this week's phone calls and emails. So Uncle Mosh, take it away.
Greetings, Murf, Mosh, Sonny, Little Murf, Nation. Hey, Aaron Q-Dog Radio, Capo
saxophone in the background.
Great state of Texas. And with the big reveal this week, we come to find that the Raiders' new Las Vegas stadium home will be called Allegiant Stadium. Works for me. Can't wait to go. Mojo, save me a seat. Just slide over, bruh. I'll buy the beer. But to get back to what we would like to talk about in these dog days, everybody should be clamoring about it. Hard Knocks. Love the first episode. And before I go too deep, let's just take a moment, pause, moment of silence. Number 21, Cliff Branch, an exemplary career. Now, he only made the Pro Bowl 4 times, but you know what? It was a different day and age, and there was a lot less watered-down competition in the league. So, you know what? I discount that completely. Cliff Branch needs to be in the Hall of Fame. This is me making my pitch, and, of course, Coach Flores needs to be in as well. But, there are just so many Raiders. I mean, don't get me started on Jack Tatum, my favorite player, the original number 32. There is no other. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, we are one nation under God. And prayers and thoughts go up. We say this all the time. But you know what? Something's got to change. Raider Nation, let's lead the way and show love to each and every one. Let there be silver and black, from sea to shining sea. And, my gosh, I'm so sick of Tom Brady. Let's just go ahead and double tap that career. Let's go ahead and start, basically end what was started. We created Tom Brady, the greatest system quarterback. Let's end his run. I don't care how old he is, but you know what? We've got to put them out of the playoffs. New England goes down at the sword of the silver and black, and we put that guy out to pasture. I'm sick of him, his diet, his wife, his monies. Who cares? I'm a huge Michigan fan, and I think he sucks. That's all I got. Hit list, Johnny Townsend. I'll let y'all later.
He's so funny.
He's the best. Johnny Townsend's been kicking the heck out of the football by all accounts,
right?
Too, so hopefully, I don't know. According to Aaron, not hopefully, but to the rest of us, hopefully Johnny does well because he's the punter we got. So with the guys that we got, we want to do well. But, don't you – I've said this for a handful of years now that the ultimate poetic instance for the Raiders would be us knocking Brady and the Patriots out in the AFC Championship game.
Absolutely.
Not in a playoff game, in the friggin' championship game.
Right.
And I want it to be in Foxborough. As much as I would, of course, love to see the Raiders win the AFC Championship in Oakland, the poetry of it is best if we do it in frickin' Foxborough.
In the snow.
In the snow and beat their ass.
Hey, let's hear from Paul. So Paul sends his weekly email, and he says, "Good evening, guys. Hope you're well. I'm sure we all have heavy hearts this week following the untimely passing of the great Cliff Branch. Amen. His stats will read by many. His many fine attributes and stories of his glory will be recounted, and those lucky to have known him can proudly tell the world of the man he was off the field. I only saw the tail end of his career from afar, but realized pretty quickly that when Raider legends were spoken of, Cliff Branch was one of the first names mentioned. The incomplete Hall of Fame committee will be called into question again, and quite rightly, but that's for another day. There always seems to be an Al Davis quote that is appropriate, and this is no exception. This is his quote. Time never really stops for the great ones. It reaches out and wraps them in a cloak of immortality. Raider in peace, Cliff. So I see we're going old school podcasting for a short while after Murf broke the button. No YouTube, just audio. I love that it was caused by too much swag in the cave or donut dust. As long as there's a show, fellas, that's the main thing. Elsewhere, we saw the topping out ceremony for the new Allegiant Stadium and the first real sitting of the Las Vegas Raiders name. That's going to take a bit of getting used to, but we'll get there by the time we officially move in. I read on the Just Blog Baby site that Jalen Ramsey was quoted as having a preference of the Raiders or the Titans if he moves this year or next. Yes, please, this year if possible. Finally, I mentioned the disrespect shown to Cliff Branch by the Hall of Fame. What about Rodney Hudson not being on the NFL Network Top 100?
Oh, my God.
Are you kidding me? It's been a crazy week, he says. And thanks as ever for what you do. I've got to go and listen to the Pete Koch interview. Love you, Raider Nation. Paul Egerton from Shropshire, Mississippi, Pauly Award winner for 2019, Sizzler scorekeeper, proud made man, one-time winner of the Raiders Fan Radio Sizzler Award.
Awesome job, Paul. Good job, man. Very astute point there, Mosh. Why
Absolutely.
Rodney Hudson? Okay, so there was when the Madden ratings came out, EA put out. They said which one of your favorite team's players should get the ultimate Madden rating, which is 99, right? Because I think Antonio Brown got like a 98. I put Rodney Hudson. He's like a 93 in the game. He should be 99. And yes, he should be on the list of the NFL's top 100 players. Like, this guy is the best at his position in the league. If not, he's on the one or two. Like,
it's like we said about Cliffy. What more could he have done?
Yes.
What
Because Kelsey won a Super Bowl, so he gets the nod over Hudson. Like, I'm sorry, man. That was frustrating. Yeah, it's a great point, Paul. Good stuff.
All right,
you got one more now.
We got another new email from Trinidad Ledesma, and he says, "Hello, guys. Are you going to podcast live or record your reactions to Hard Knocks? Would be fun to see your guys' reactions to the show." Well, if you've been listening so far,
there you go.
it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And let me just hold you up real quick, because we had a lot of people ask us that. Are you going to do a live show, a live response, or something like immediately after Hard Knocks? We record normally on Wednesdays, and Hard Knocks is on Tuesdays. So we're going to kind of incorporate that into what we would normally do on our Wednesday show. And, you know, as much as I love the emotional, immediate response to things, also on something like Hard Knocks, it's nice to kind of process it. Because it is kind of a big deal, and it allowed us the opportunity to watch it twice.
To watch it again, yeah, exactly. So he goes on to say, of all the podcasts I have subscribed to over the past year, because I could no longer listen to the local radio coverage of the Raiders, yours has the best mix of information and fun banter. Love the Tales from the Dark Side shows you guys produce with Swag Jeff. I even found myself back at the Raiders indie game with that sinking feeling that our season was over. Good times. Doesn't matter where we live, we're all part of this thing, bigger than ourselves. Keep up the good work and go Raiders. Trinidad. Thanks, Trinidad. And
awesome.
He sent an absolute cool photo we'll try to get that into our opening mix when we get back on the YouTube if your computer ever gets done.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like it's he and his family at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum.
Oh, very cool.
Before
very cool.
game, yeah.
I appreciate you, Trinidad. Appreciate you reaching out, emailing the show. Email us a few more times, and we'll declare you a made man here on Raiders Fan Radio. So, hey, Uncle Mosh, so something happened during just the past couple minutes.
And now for something completely different.
I got a message.
Oh, no. Another weather alert?
No, from your other favorite nephew. And
nice.
He wants to get on the air. You want to talk to him?
Sure.
Okay, let's get him on here.
Hello?
Sonny!
Hello?
Hey, you're live on Raiders Fan Radio.
What up, Raiders Fan Radio?
What's happening, son?
How's it going? Is that Uncle Mosh?
Yeah, man.
Hey, I'm dieting for 3 months to prepare for Lavellas.
All right. For those of you that don't know, La Villa is our first stop when we hit the West Coast. It's the best delicatessen in all of Central California. We're excited about it.
We're going to land, Sonny, in in San Jose, and we're going to go straight from the airplane to the rental car to La Villa's.
What time are you guys flying in, do you know?
I don't know. We're doing a podcast, so let's talk about the Raiders.
Oh, man, you're killing
What are you
us.
guys talking about?
We're doing See a Fan's mailbag right now, so it was a perfect time for you to call. Hey, why don't you give us your impression of Hard Knocks, man?
My impression of Hard... I haven't watched it yet. I was going to watch it tonight. I wanted to watch it last night, but we had baby issues.
I'm going to
watch it today.
You're going to love it. Make sure you got it on tape, so you'll want to watch it twice.
Yeah, I got HBO now. I'm going to record it and stuff like that.
Perfect.
Is it good? Does it paint the Raiders in a good light, or is it like making fun of them?
Nah, man, it's awesome. It's top notch. We were already saying that we're Hard Knocks drunk over it.
Hey, is the redheaded step cousin allowed to come with us to California?
Heck yeah, man, but he can't pack any Broncos stuff because there's only 4 of us. I don't think we'd be able to fight our way out.
No, especially with me all hungover from Lavillas.
You might have to sleep on the floor, too, because we're going to start running out of room. If he's okay with that, he's welcome to come.
We're not doing over under.
Oh my God. I don't. But yeah, we'll talk about it off air, man. We'll have to figure it out because we'll have to get an extra spot at Politikoff and a ticket. I'm getting ready to buy our tickets here next week.
Okay, cool. You know, the interesting thing about that game, and I think I texted you earlier, Josh. That's going to be over 45 days since the last home game. That game against the Lions. And so, it's kind of weird how the NFL schedule came out because the Broncos and Chiefs are right off the bat, which makes sense if you're the NFL, because why would you want to schedule those games towards the end of the season when it's a rivalry game, the crowd will be intense, and they might tear down the whole damn stadium. So they put them at the very first 2 games to get them out of the way, and then it's like the rest of the games are going to be a little, not as intense towards the end of the season. But the Lions game will be interesting because 45 days, no home game, having traveled across the freaking world, essentially. It might be a fun game to go to, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely it'll be a fun game to go to. I think if we're going to be as good as we think we're going to be, I think we got an opportunity to see an absolute blowout.
Against the Lions?
Yeah, man, it should be.
I don't know.
Well, will the Lions have an offense and a defense, or are they going to have 11 guys that go both ways?
Including Matt Stafford.
Well, Matt Stafford's gone both ways for years, but
what happens in Athens, Georgia, stays in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah.
The whole Todd Downing hopefulness ruined me for ever having hope previous to a season.
My gosh. We were talking about that earlier tonight, man, about how the Raiders have relieved us of expectation.
Oh, yeah, man. But this is the best way to go into the season because you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, So, who knows? But I'll tell you one thing, playing Madden is sure fun to have actually nice receivers, don't you think?
Oh, my gosh, dude. When I was balling out, man, it's so fun, man. And the Raiders' defense is legit finally, too.
Yeah, and Josh Jacobs is a freaking animal in that game.
Absolutely. Well, hey, listen, so we got to jump back into Sea of Fans, man. It's good to talk to you, and let's definitely catch up offline, man, and figure out what we're going to do with the Raider game and with that Bronco cousin of yours.
All right, sounds good. And should I bring duct tape for Swag Jeff when we're down there, or what?
All right, we'll see. All right, bye.
All right, so first up on the Sea of Fans mailbag is our buddy Eye Patch.
Hey, Murf, Mosh, Swag Jeff, Capo, Nation. Eye Patch calling in with a couple things. I could get into Hard Knocks and I'm sure I'll get cut off if I get into that, but it's nice to see that Jonathan Abram has, he's not shy. Anyway, first things first, I just want to say all my thoughts and prayers go out to anybody in Raider Nation who was affected by any of these senseless shootings that went on this past weekend. It's such a tragedy. And, you know, the nation is so big, and I'm sure somewhere somebody was affected, you know, with their family or acquaintance or somebody. I just want to say my prayers and thoughts are out to all these people in the nation who might have been affected by this tragedy. Second is, of course, Cliff Branch. I've called the show several times, you know, ranting and raving about him being in the Hall, putting stats up that he should be in the Hall, comparing him to other people. He's just one of the guys that I grew up with, and I'm sure, I know Mosh grew up with him. I'm sure you did too, Murf. You saw him play. I mean, this is a guy we emulated in our backyards playing tackle football. Absolutely. And the guy went for a bomb. You know, he went and he did a Cliff Branch. You know, I mean, he was the epitome of a guy you wanted to stretch the field. You know, you hear about these offensives today saying you need a guy to take the top off. Well, this was the original deep threat. You know, I could compare him to, like I said, Lynn Swann and all these other guys. His numbers are so much better. But for you people, the younger people who are following the Raiders now, and God bless you because you love them and they haven't done much winning lately. But if you go back and watch tape on this guy, he was truly amazing. I mean, just 1 year I look back on, and he had 46 catches for 1,111 yards. I mean, over 1,000 yards on 46 catches. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, the game is different today. These players throw a lot more. So you look at career stats, you say, oh, well, he didn't have that many catches, but it was a whole different ball game back then. And for a guy to have 46 catches and over 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards, it's just crazy. He was the epitome of a receiver, a deep threat receiver back in the day. Well, anyway, that's all I got for you today, man. I don't want to get cut off like I did last week. It's kind of embarrassing. Anyway, guys, peace out. Hit the button. See you later.
I bet. Don't be embarrassed, man. It's all good fun.
It's happened to the best of us.
It's absolutely. Heck, if there was a Google Voice on being a co-host of this show, Lord knows I'd have gotten it numerous times.
Oh my gosh! Hey, so we're up against the clock, and we don't want to get Googled.
No,
so,
exactly.
We're gonna go Houstorian Steve, second call.
Murf and Mosh, this is Houston Raider Steve. It's a really sad day for Raider Nation. Cliff Branch just passed away, and he went to Oregon High School here in Houston. Played at Colorado, number 21. He was the fastest player in the league. Nobody could cover him. He had like 8,600 yards, just shy of 87. We had a get-together when Tim Brown went in the Hall of Fame up in Canton that day, and we were in Wild Alaska, the Houston Raider Nation is, and Oscar and all of us, we had about 20 or 30 people. Come to find out, Cliff Branch showed up, and I had this cake made. It said Tim Brown Hall of Fame. And all of us were walking up to Cliff, and I said, you know, Cliff, it's long overdue. You should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. We need to get you in the Hall of Fame as soon as possible. Unfortunately, he didn't get to go in the Hall of Fame while he was alive. Hopefully, we'll get him in there this year and everything coming up for the next Hall of Fame next year in 2020. I'm sorry, I'm kind of really depressed and upset about this. Sad more than anything else because he was a Houstonian over on the southeast side of Houston. One heck of a player. The other Houstonian that's really famous is, of course, Lester Hayes. And he went to Wheatley High School, east side of Houston. Anyway, it's a really sad day for Raider Nation. Cliff, we need to get in the Hall of Fame. You'd always see him over at the Raider image signing autographs for the fans. Always, you know, he was quite a character, but he was a good guy, man. He was a true Raider, man. I missed the hell out of him already. God bless you, Cliff. Rest in peace, and go Raiders. Sad day for Raider Nation.
That's a good call, Houston. Oh my gosh! You know,
it's getting late on us, sir.
It's me running this board. I got your tongue tiedness over here all the time.
Yeah. And now you got the cops.
Next up is Alex from Tucson.
What is up, Raider Nation? This is Alex from Tucson. What's up, Mosh? What's up, Murf? Just calling in today. I'm super excited and pumped up for the season. I just got my DirecTV NFL ticket. So super excited about that. I'm not going to miss any games. One thing I'm really, really looking forward to, and this just came to my head a few minutes ago, I can't wait to see if the Raiders are going to do a game where Jonathan Abram is mic'd up live in the game. I think he's such an exciting player. I think he's turned out to be a really pleasant surprise. I don't think people were anticipating drafting him, and he's turned out to be one of my favorite draft picks, and I'm just super excited for him. I can't wait to hear him mic'd up if they do that. Hopefully they're smart enough to do that. And second of all, man, I guess it's just really hitting me that the Raiders are going to be leaving Oakland this year. And it's just so crazy because I grew up with the Raiders in Oakland. My dad got me into the Raiders, and they're really leaving. I can't believe that. So I don't know. I have, my heart breaks for it, but I'm really excited for Vegas too. Hey, I was thinking of starting a petition that maybe we can get the Coliseum to play the song Lights by Journey on the last game in Oakland. When the lights go down in the city.
Come on, Alex.
And the sun shines on.
Let me get my lighter out.
The bay.
I got my lighter out.
All right, that's enough of me singing and getting all mushy on you guys. Go Raiders, and let's do it. Let's do it. 2019 Raiders, let's go.
That was the first Journey by request we've ever had.
That's the first person that's ever sang on Raiders Fan Radio.
And he didn't get Googled.
No, he did. So, Alex, as much as I love that idea, here's the downside of that. The Giants use that. The San Francisco Giants use that at the end of Giants games, so there's no way in heck the Raiders are going to play that at the end. There's no way.
Unless we had a Metallica version.
There we go.
Hey, next up, Raider 1.
Hey, Murf, Tomash and Swag Jeff. This is Raider 1. I was hearing you guys praying for me last week, and I'd like to thank you for what you're doing for me. Q-Dog and our brother out there in South Carolina, thank you for your prayers. I heard everything you guys said about me. And I was just in the hospital. They put a think they call it is something that goes to your heart, so they can pump medicine right straight to the heart. So because I have an infection, my leg looks like if I got bitten by a rattlesnake. So it looks all messed up, and I never had that before. So I have a doctor's coming in, like twice a week, and coming to see me because I have to stay in my bed. And I just wanted to tell you thanks for the prayers, and God bless you guys. Appreciate everything you guys say for me, and I'll do the same for you. I'll keep you in my prayers. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm glad he's on the road to recovery.
Absolutely.
He's got doctors coming in. And they got that infection. We'll definitely keep him in our thoughts and prayers. All
Absolutely,
right.
Raider One.
Next
Best to you,
up,
my friend.
FMM, the Full Metal Mexican.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Mosh, Murf, Sonny, Capital Q-Dog, Nation. So, Full Metal Mexican here. I'm at work, so I got to make this really quick. Looking forward to the defense putting up some numbers. That's what I'm really, really, really hoping that is improved. I don't mean to be the person that brings bad news. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only caller that's going to say this, but I was checking out Twitter on August the 3rd, and with heavy hearts, Cliff Branch passed away. Another Raider legend joins the Godfather Al Davis up there in heaven. Just wanted to reflect on that and think about all the achievements he's done. But on a positive note, I just wanted to say that I'm thinking of trying to make it to the home game there in November. I really need to plan this one out, but just wanted to drop a quick line. Max love and respect. Raiders.
Good stuff. Lino,
Nice.
with the best, your favorite name.
Yeah, Lino, I love that guy, man. A Full Metal Mexican. And I love that he calls from work. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so the last but certainly not least, Rev Raider.
What's going on, Murf and Uncle Mosh? Young Swaggo. I call him
Nice.
young because he's like
with his fandom. He's still new in the game. He's going hard with it, just like a young John Abrams.
There we go.
I just wanted to give a call, give my thoughts on the first episode of Hard Knocks. Definitely enjoyed it. Of course, us being Raiders fans, I know we loving it. I definitely got some chills when they started playing the Autumn Wind at the beginning. I was like, yeah, let's get to it. It's getting me souped and amped. I loved it. Also, I definitely, after seeing what happened with Ronald Ollie, he definitely needed to get cut. He had that coming. He was somebody that definitely was like kind of making excuses and not taking accountability for his own actions. If you're an undrafted free agent, you should be doing everything that you can to make that team. They shouldn't have to tell you to go to the trainer's office. If you hurt, you go. Also, I felt where John Gruden was coming from, and I love the fact that he cut him. It was sad to see it happen, but the way he cut him, the way he did, he's setting the standard, and I love that. He's setting the standard. We're not here for the BS. We're here to make it happen. Even when he said, we want to win now, not wait until we get to Vegas. He said, we want to win right now, and I love that. Also, definitely love his candor with Jonathan Abrams. He was just telling him, you got to dial it back. I know that's what you want to do, but, gotta have his time. But in the meantime, chill out, youngin', chill out. But that's all I've got. Definitely enjoyed the first show. Always enjoy it. Peace.
All right. So, man, what a night. What a night. We talked about Cliffy and we gave kudos there and flashback to Hard Knocks and then we got into the Sea of Fans and I loved how when Patch called and he was talking about Abram wasn't very shy, and of course he gave condolences, just like just about everybody did about Cliff, and historian Steve talked about a hometown guy and always comes up with the best stories, and the fact that he was able to meet Cliff at one point. I'm a little jealous there, and then. Alex from Tucson was fired up for the year. He came up with a great idea for miking up Abram. I love that.
Yes.
Juan called us, hadn't called in a while. Our thoughts and prayers are with you again for your road to recovery, and we're glad we can keep you smiling through that. And then, of course, Full Metal Mexican Lino, my guy, calling from work. Love that. And then Rev Raider, you're rapidly becoming your.
He's on my Mount Rushmore of callers.
He's on your Mount Rushmore of callers. And referring to young Swaggo.
Yeah,
and he compared him to Abram.
That was cool.
Good kudos for Swaggo. And Rev Raider might have gotten a double bubble here. He might have gotten the Sizzler Award 2 weeks in a row. But he got bumped.
What?
He got bumped from the Sizzler this week.
Because
Alex from Tucson sang on the air, baby. Anybody that can get me to pull out the flashlight on my iPhone in your stupid dining room. Hey, Rev. What's your favorite song, man? You got to call. You got to call.
Well, and I think Rev, because he's made reference to this before, I think he's an old school hip hop guy. I think he's a rapper. So look, I'm not saying that Alex and Tucson challenged you to a music battle on this show on Raiders Fan Radio, but we'll see if you're man enough to take it up.
I think. Hey, I do want to say that he brought up something. And it was a note that I had written down that I didn't even talk about.
What's that?
Autumn Wind, the way that the whole thing started, and it was in black and white, dude. Man,
absolutely.
It just gave me chills. Just the start of the show. And thanks for reminding me of that, Rev. And but anyway,
that was amazing. So who gets your Sizzler? Is it Alex?
Alex in Tucson for his journey.
Sizzler. 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 Sizzler.
All right, congratulations to Alex in Tucson for this week's Sizzler Award. If you want to contact us here at Raiders Fan Radio, 909-345-3346. Leave us a message if somebody plays it through. Oh, heck, you guys know what's going on.
Hey, everybody, we hope it won't be long before we're back on the air on the YouTubes. And just keep following us on social media, and we'll let you know. If not, Murph and I will be back here next Wednesday night for another podcast. So, hey, thanks for listening tonight. For Murph, this is your old Uncle Mosh, and you've been listening to Raiders Fan Radio, where we take a lighter side journey into the dark side. Don't forget, what happens in Vegas started in Oakland. Good night, everybody. God bless.
When the lights go down in the city.
Come on, Alex.
And the sun shines on.
Get my lighter out.
The bay.
I got my lighter out.
All right, that's enough of me singing.